Today it's time for a professional match of StarCraft 2. It's time for a Terran versus Terran, where we find ourselves on good old Golden Wool. Now, I'm not gonna lie, over the last couple of months, I've become a big fan of casting games on this specific map. Now, in case you only watch my YouTube channel, I mean, of course, all of you only watch StarCraft 2 on my channel, right? We're in like a committed relationship, you and me, right? You guys never would ever watch any other channels out there or any live tournaments, right? No, I'm just kidding. In case you do, though, in case you only watch my YouTube channel, you may not think that this map is, you know, not commonly played. Most of the time, however, in best of 3 and best of 5 series, the players will be very, very quick to veto Golden Wool just because it's a little bit different. It's the odd map in the map pool. It's been around actually for a little while, of course, already as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be seeing it kicked out in the next season. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this game is all going to bring. So in case you're unfamiliar, by the way, there's this Golden Wool right over here. You can only access the southern part south of this wall by mining out mineral patches either in the back of your main or in the center of the map, or of course these golden minerals as well, but these take a whole lot longer to mine out. But other than that, I mean, the map layout is also a little bit different in the sense that the distance from main base to main base is actually very, very long. So while the air-to-air distance is, well, still pretty significant, especially the ground-to-ground distance is huge. So for example, as a Zerg player, I need to make sure that I get myself Overlord speed out pretty early on this map, just to make sure that I can actually figure out what my opponent is going for. And since StarCraft 2 is a very difficult game, and since this is the only map where I actually need to go ahead and do so, I tend to just simply veto it, man. I don't need to make the game any more difficult, where I'm gonna have to completely change out my build order just because of one specific map. But anyways, before I ramble onwards, let's get started by introducing the players who are both going for very standard openers so far. Spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing with the hot pink Terran SCVs from South Korea. We're looking inside of the main base of Dream and his opponent in the opposite corner. I guess not opposite corner. Bottom right-hand corner, right? This would be the opposite corner. It doesn't make any sense. But anyways, bottom right-hand corner with the orange Terran pieces. We have none other than Bunny. Alrighty. So, both of these guys, of course, very, very good when it comes to playing SC2. Now, Dream certainly has been a little bit more successful this year so far. I mean, he's had a lot of success, especially in the GSL Code S. This guy is certainly one of the very best, so I think... I don't know. I feel like action has to be on Bunny, because in like a very straightforward macro game, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Dream who comes out ahead. He's just become very, very good. Alrighty. So, Bunny, what are you going for, my man? Are you going to proxy a starport? Yep, he's waiting for the factory to finish. Should be a starport. Little bit of a weird position, right? So this is one of those spots that's technically speaking very easy to scout. I mean, if the Reaper decided to go across the map, he would probably just see this starport being built right over here. But obviously, I mean, it's gonna be in a location that's so obvious that it will be unlikely to get scouted in a game like this. Interestingly enough, sometimes hiding really just straight out in the open is one of the best locations where you can hide. Now, we see Dream going for a pretty much identical build as well. If you look at the production tab, I'm pretty sure it's been identical the entire game so far. Pretty sure we're gonna be seeing a Hellion, like a Hellion drop by both of these players with a Medivac. So, I think so anyway. I mean, he's already up to 4 right now, Dream that is. We see the same on the other side of the map. The Medivacs will be out very soon. This is gonna be an awkward one, isn't it? This is gonna be the one where the players decide to flip a coin, and then whoever, you know, picks the correct one is gonna come out ahead now. Okay, Dream is actually just waiting to see if his opponent decides to march down. Instead, though, all of those Hellions decide to go inside of the Medivac. Now, let's have a look. Dream is also now boosting his own Medivac across. He's gonna be able to pick up his own Hellions here very shortly as well. I like this small little proxy. It doesn't seem very significant. Dream is gonna find it right now. But, I mean, it does now allow Bunny to arrive a little bit quicker. And this is such a dumb game right now because neither player actually has any defenses, right? I mean, we see a Cyclone coming up here in a little bit, but here we go. We have an SCV barbecue already. A ton of those workers are going down. At the same time, we see the workers lined up as well. The orange ones inside of the main base of Bunny. Both players desperately trying to micro both sides of this engagement. And a near identical build apparently now also means near identical damage. Both players end up losing a ton of stuff. This is one of the most uncommon scenarios, especially in Terran versus Terran, because the players have so many different builds that they can go for in this matchup. But it looks like, all things considered, I mean, Bunny certainly comes out ahead here. He's not quite done with the harassment. He's gonna end up losing the Hellions as well. You can see the supply count right now, all of a sudden in favor of the player in orange. What a silly opener. So, Terran versus Terran, right? I mean, you usually go for the 1-1-1. And since you can just flip around some of these, you know, tech labs and stuff, right? Generally speaking, we see players just being able to go all the way up to, like, battle cruisers by the 5-minute mark, right? So, you can make everything from the Marine all the way up towards the battle cruiser. And to see both players go for the same opener exactly with pretty much identical timings is pretty odd. So, look at that. Slightly better control there by Bunny. If you look at the units lost here as well, you can see that it's pretty much identical. That's kind of neat. So where do we go from here? Alright, so Dream has decided to build a couple of siege tanks and send them across the map. The problem is, though, that you can't really push into siege top tank lines, right? I mean, unless he can, like, use an interference matrix or something along those lines, he's not going to be able to push in here. That's Martin the Marine over here as well. Sorry, Martin. You served a very important function, though, to get maximum vision range right there on those siege tanks. I don't know why I gave him a name. That's kind of sad, but it is what it is. This is still going to be something where Dream can potentially do a little bit of damage, though. I mean, he does have the additional Viking number here, which is really nice. Having that extra Viking out allows you to take that air dominance, and obviously once you have air dominance, you can use those siege tanks to their maximum potential. Right now, forcing Bunny to unsiege some of his own tanks. And yeah, he's gonna start a little bit of harassment. Obviously, this is leaving this entire bottom section of the map completely empty, and that means that a Raven that was made here by Bunny a little while ago is gonna be able to deny a lot of mining time and kill a couple of these SCVs as well. Stimpack is quite a bit faster here for Bunny, so that is something worth noting. We don't even see it started up yet for Dream, so the fact that he is gonna be behind in that upgrade is gonna hurt quite a bit. The thing is, though, if you want to decide to stim down this ramp, right, it becomes very tricky. Is he just going to go home? I kind of feel like that's the best option, honestly. Yeah. Generally speaking, in a lot of these games, if you decide to overstay your welcome, right, and you're like, okay, this is going well. I mean, I killed a refinery. Let's try and inch forward and go after the supply depot. Generally, what happens is that something will go terribly wrong, and then eventually you lose all of these siege tanks. Terran versus Terran is very much so about the siege tank number, right? I mean, generally, the guy with more siege tanks ends up winning. Obviously, up to a certain extent. You need to try and get that Marine count up as well. Get a couple of Medivacs out to try and do, you know, some drop harass and make sure you're mobile. But siege tank or siege tank lines are absolutely critical. Generally, not until the later stages of the game is when we will see a switch towards Liberators. So you can see right now, Bunny decided to mix one in. The Liberators are fantastic once you have that air dominance because you can force your opponent to unsiege. This is one of those matchups that a lot of people don't really enjoy playing very much. I know a lot of people in Twitch chat, even like all the way up to like Master 1, really aren't a big fan of playing this matchup. But I love watching it, man. It's so good. It's so extremely difficult. Like, you need to have insane micro and decision making in order to pull it off. I mean, it really does. It does feel a lot like chess in a way, you know? It's a lot about positioning and making sure you are outsmarting your opponent. There's a lot of thinking involved. And while obviously, just like in chess, there are some standard moves that are very good, right? You have standard build orders that are very helpful. Like, none of the games ever really look the same. That's what I'm trying to say. Yo, how does this work, man? If my queens have one little pinky toe inside of the Liberator circle, they always get hit. But apparently the siege tank can have like 4 of its wheels in there. Ay, ay, ay. Anyhow, apparently this is now the moment where Bunny decides to move forward. And look at that Liberator, right? So the Liberator forcing these tanks to unsiege. Now at this point, obviously, Dream is going to be the one who's slightly ahead in that Viking count. So he's going to be able to force some of these orange units back here for now. If you can squeeze out a Medivac or something along those lines and go for a drop inside of the main base, that would be helpful. But at this point, I mean, it's all about air dominance. It's all about air dominance. We don't generally see a lot of Medivacs in this matchup right now. It's kind of funny. They used to be so common back in the day, but nowadays everyone's like, yeah, okay, maybe if I can squeeze out 1 or 2, that's nice. But having that Viking lead is super critical. Because eventually the guy that has more Vikings can switch to Liberators. And that just makes this matchup a whole lot easier to play. Anyhow, both players have decided to go for the third base right now. Dream got his up quite a bit quicker, which I like a lot. When it comes to the siege tank numbers so far, I mean, there is 1 less here for Dream, but he does have that defender's advantage, which is nice. He is deciding not to actually expand vertically. It's always a bit of a a tricky decision to make, right? Because if you descend or if you expand vertically like this, you are obviously going to be further away from your main base, so reinforcing that might be tricky if your opponent decides to go for a drop. Bunny, though, instead decides to go all the way around. Okay, tanks are getting in position. They are very stacked up. Is there going to be enough right now for Bunny to push through here? A lot of his tanks are low as well. Nice hit there by Dream, manually retargeting one of those tanks to hit the low HP ones instead. Siege tanks with their splash damage, very powerful. And it looks like Dream will be able to stabilize for now. Nice. Okay, so looks like despite the fact that both players ended up losing a ton of workers, and despite the fact that this game could have been over 5 minutes ago, we're actually transitioning towards what seems to be a relatively standard macro game. Turns out if both of the players end up losing like 20 SCVs and all of their economy and all of their units, you kind of go back to, you know, a clean start. You kind of once again start from scratch, just with a couple more of those mules that you can drop from the sky so the game gets underway a little bit faster. But this is usually the scenario we find ourselves in at like the 7-minute mark rather than like the 11-minute mark, which is kind of funny. Oh, I actually didn't see you there, bro. I was trying to figure out what gave vision right here on the map, but it's Martin apparently staring here. They're all called Martin. He's staring right there down the Vespian geyser. Alright. Dream has decided to now commit some of his Vikings at the bottom section of the map, probably looking to see if he can potentially intercept any drop ships. If we look right now at the count right here in units, I mean, I think we can safely say it's a relatively even game, right? I mean, there are more workers for Dream, which I like a lot, but I mean, he is going to be fully saturated here and oversaturated if he doesn't stop making workers here very shortly, so Bunny should be able to catch up in that count relatively easily here as well. He's actually feeling fine so far, yeah. He already sent a couple of additional workers from the main base over towards the third. You can see that the positioning of the mules, like the location where you decide to drop the mules is huge. So right now you can see Dream still has a bunch of mineral patches left over in his main, whereas Bunny apparently has been dropping his inside of his own main base, and that means that his base mines out quite a bit quicker. Seems to be mostly personal preference. But here we go. Once again, a little move out. Couple of Marines feeling brave enough apparently to see if they can shoot some of the opponent's Marines as well. Fourth command center in the meantime being acquired here by Bunny. Simply puts them on position there. +2/+2 is starting up right away here for Bunny. I like this a lot actually for him. So upgrades are huge, right? In a mirror matchup especially. If you're all making the same units and you're pretty much identical in supply, if it's just a straight up battle, it pretty much always comes down to the player with better upgrades. So this is a big difference right now, because not only is Bunny ahead when it comes to the upgrades, right? He's got a little bit more time on his +2 already. There's a single production so far here happening for Dream, so he's a little bit slower there. He will be able to start up the +2 armor here as well eventually, but there is like a good, I would say like 20-second advantage. Doesn't seem big. Maybe it won't come into play, but it is something worth noting. Apparently the Viking decided to escort one medivac full of Marines. There's a missile turret though. Siege tank inside of the main base here available as well. Couple Marines come stimming up the ramp, and this should be warded away pretty easily. Is he going to target fire down the medivac? Apparently not. In the meantime though, he is also pushing here in the top section of the map. Couple siege tanks there available as well for Dream, so this should be cleared relatively easily. Okay, so both players managed to go up towards the fourth base. This one is going to be upgraded to a planetary fortress on both sides of the map. I can't get over how identical this game has looked so far. Like, it's actually like kind of insane. I mean, obviously there have been small side steps here and there, but they're all going down the same road. Or they're both going down the same road, rather. Okay, now this is a big commitment apparently. Bunny has decided to bring all of the siege tanks right here to the top section of the map. He does it way more than his opponent, so if they decide to target, yeah, there we go. They're going to be able to get a lot of damage in here as well. Nice move there by Bunny. Cleans up his opponent's siege tanks. Well, at least the majority of them. He does not have that high ground vision right now. So, oh, actually, this is just barely out of range apparently. Reinforcing siege tank though apparently was forced inside of that medivac because it always killed his, or almost killed his buddy. Planetary fortress though does get shelled down, and that does mean that Bunny is going to be able to retreat once again. Now it's going to be a difficult retreat. Yeah, these siege tanks are not so fast. Reinforcing Marines do come up here, So at the very least, that's going to make this a bit easier. He really is going to siege up over here. I'm pretty sure all that Bunny wants to do right now is just get out. I like the idea of bringing a couple of siege tanks right here on the retreat path as well. But Bunny, I mean, he finished the job that he came for. Right now, he knows that he's going to be a full base up over his opponent. And that's always a good feeling, right? Especially in a game as similar as this one. All right. So nice fight here, actually, as well by Bunny. Nicely done. Yeah, you can never count out Bunny. I mean, Dream certainly has had more success over like the course of 2020 so far, but Bunny is a really strong player. I believe it was him at like Home Story Cup 19, if I recall correctly, who like flew in the same day and then like played an amazing tournament. Like he literally arrived the day. I'm pretty sure it was Bunny. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like 99% sure. But he arrived, if I recall correctly, the same day, like from South Korea in Germany. And then played some amazing StarCraft, you know, right after like a 12-hour flight or something along those lines. Anyhow, this is pretty neat. Big drop inside of the main base. Well, big drop. Relatively big drop. SCV is now forced off the line as well. Siege tank, though, desperately trying to get a little bit of damage in. This is actually doing a lot of damage now here for Bunny. Bunny, once again, with a beautiful decision, decides to gun down some of his opponent's SCVs, and that's 19 additional workers going down in this Terran versus Terran. So, significant advantage right now for the player in orange. Here's the thing, though. Whilst in Zerg versus Protoss, maybe Protoss versus Terran as well, and certainly in Zerg versus Zerg, if you're ahead, you can just unsiege everything or you know, grab your entire army and attack move through the center of the map to watch your opponent's main base. In TVT, that option doesn't really exist. I mean, you can try and go for a Doom Drop, but that's always a gamble. The defender's advantage, because of siege tanks and because of planetary fortresses and because of the fact that units spawn closer to the battle, is huge, right? So despite the fact that I'm really liking this position here for Bunny, he needs to be very careful. He decides once again to go to the top section. Beautiful fight so far. He needs to be careful, though. This is what I mean. You don't want to go down the minced Marine grinder, man. At the same time, though, there is a drop inside of the main base, but Dream already anticipating that. Nicely done. Oh, I love that little move. Oh, I'm sure Martin right there didn't like it as much, but basically what you do is you drop one little Marine on your opponent's siege tanks to try and get the opponent's siege tanks to shoot at that Marine and therefore deal collateral damage to their own siege tank. So, I mean, one Marine right there, believe it or not. This is going to sound a little sad, but it is a good trait for a red HP siege tank. I'm sorry, Marines. Matter of fact, does get killed. Another problem with being in this kind of scenario is that Bunny right now is smelling blood in the water, so he wants to see if he can win this right here, right now. I don't know if I like this. Well, I mean, currently, it seems like Dream has decided to go all the way. Oh my god, I think he's anticipating it. Yeah, he was moving all the way towards the top left-hand corner. Here's the vision as well. He sees the colors right now heading towards his main base. Is he going to be able to prevent this from sieging up? If this Terran player in orange manages to get a good siege, I mean, all of those Marines are going to be toast. Couple of tanks on the low ground right now for Dream available as well, though, and I think that Bunny is going to be deflected here. Yep. Great positioning there by Dream. I don't think he had a whole lot of knowledge about that drop. I mean, he scanned over here, and he saw that there were only a handful of units there in the center of the map. So I guess he anticipated that since this little scout over here seemed to, you know, give him the heads up there that the opponent was not there, it had to be that he was heading towards his main. The Doom drops are very popular in this matchup, but good anticipation right there by Dream, dealing with very limited knowledge and still manages to shut that down. Okay. So that kind of has reset the skills a little. Fifth base, though, has been acquired here by Bunny. I like that. He might even decide to go for this one here in a little bit, too, with the main orbital command. Dream finally manages to get in a little bit of counter pressure, but will be deflected very quickly. Yeah, I think it's much better in this kind of scenario to be the defender, though. So 13 siege tanks, by the way, at this point for Dream. That is a significant lead. I mean, I understand that the supply counts right now are in favor of Bunny here, but 13 tanks is very big. I don't know where they all are. There's a bunch of them scattered all over the place. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong, though. Still a really good position here, obviously. Where is he losing SCVs? Wait, what? Hold up. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I just looked at the vision of Dream and I couldn't quite figure out where the SCVs were dying. But apparently Bunny has decided to kill his own workers. Being in the 60s apparently is a little too much. He didn't like that idea. He's got additional orbital commands right now as well. So he's just sacrificing his own boys just to, you know, swap them out for higher tier units. Now he is going for Marines again. I would actually like to see more of a focus on siege tanks. If you have a look right now at the amount of factories, there are 2 factories available for both players, but he's only producing out of 1 there. Actually, now he's not producing out of any. Anyhow, that does put 13 siege tanks right here on the board for Dream. 15 right now, over only 8. So Dream essentially is maxing out much slower, right? He's got the 5th base right now secured as well, but I do like his army better. I love the fact, though, that Bunny has decided to add in a couple of Ravens. So those Ravens are phenomenal with their interference matrices. If you can shut down your opponent's siege tanks, that makes life a little bit easier. These rocks over here are actually super critical. There's a whole bunch of tanks over there. Nice roaming here so far, but here we go. Big fight happening. Ooh, looks like that was a weird moment for a pause, man. Ooh. Was there anything else set? Can I have a look? Wait, what happened? I have no idea what happened. I'm pretty sure Wardy had no idea either. Ready, go, go. It's okay, go, go. All right. Maybe someone could read Korean there and you could let us know what happened in the comment section of the video. That would be nice. Really feel like that may have been an opportunity for Bunny, but it was hard to call anyway. I don't think there was too much lost. Certainly an awkward moment, though, for a pause. This is the first time where we really see Dream making a move for it right now. And you know what? He's actually got the supply advantage here. He's still 6 tanks ahead of his opponent. That's huge, man. Really significant. I mean, Bunny's adding on tons of Marines, and that works if you go for a lot of drop play. But he hasn't really done a whole lot of that, right? Like, he's tried. And obviously, he's been successful as well with killing like 20 workers with those drops. But actually, I think he's killed closer to 40, I guess, if you count the early game drop as well. But this is so sick, actually. The fact that we had that early game reset, like, at the 5-minute mark, and the game probably could have been over. But right now, we're looking at maxed out armies roaming the map. Now, this is Dream overextending just a little bit. Nice anti-armor missile there as well. Bunny decides to siege up all of his tanks, and that's going to force Dream to back off. Dream, though, is going for what seems to be a bit of a chokehold right now, right? Like, he's going for a move where he's essentially blocking Bunny out of his own bases. And that means right now that this planetary fortress is in a lot of trouble. But he can't really get into that position anymore. Marines join the fray as well. They're going to be able to stim down that CC very easily. A couple of SCVs go down as well. Still, though, he doesn't want to chase too far because apparently this is the moment where Bunny decides to go all the way around. Dream has got a lot of tanks on the other side of this crevice, but beautiful interference matrices do go down there. Bunny shuts down his opponent's siege tanks temporarily. And, well, I guess they got gunned down as well. So that's 5 or so less tanks there for the player in pink. And the patience required to play this properly is huge. You cannot overstay your welcome very easily in this matchup. And if you decide to stim all of your Marines forward, and it's not a fight you can win, it's going to look really bad for you really easily. I actually think Dream needs to back off, man. Yeah, once again, a couple of siege tanks do get disabled. Only one of them was actually firing there in the back, and Bunny takes a decisive victory in this fight. So despite being a couple siege tanks down, he decided to add in a couple of Ravens. I love it. Ravens are fantastic. Here's another problem, though. If you look at the bottom section of the screen right now, you can see that Dream is sitting at 3,000 gas almost. This is quite common in this matchup. I mean, Terran just doesn't need that much gas when they, you know, build a unit composition around what they're building here. So, yeah, I mean, the Ravens seem like a no-brainer, right? Like, it's such a nice unit to add into the mix here. Golden Base, by the way, has been acquired here by Dream. He floated over his old main to the golden minerals. This could still be like any or either player's game, though. Like, there's not really one clear player favorite here. Look at the resources lost. Oh my god! That's so sick! They're within 100 resources lost of each other. Well, never do math in a YouTube video, but it's close to something like that. That's ridiculous. These guys are near identical. Like, the entire game long. It's like looking into a mirror. Here we go, though. Once again, interference matrices do go down. Dream has reinforcing units running from the distance. They arrive to this party a little bit too late. Siege tanks, though, on the high ground, very helpful. Bunny has got a huge amount of tanks right now. Yeah. Decides to slowly leapfrog them forward. Don't play too aggressively now. High ground advantages are huge. You gotta respect it. You gotta respect it. He doesn't have energy right now for an interference matrix on any of these Ravens, so that does put him in a bit of an awkward spot. I'm pretty sure he anticipated he did. That said, though, I mean, sometimes this is just a numbers game, right? I mean, with this many tanks, yeah. He's gonna eventually be able to force his way onto the high ground. That means that the orbital command over here will be lifted. A couple of SCVs did die as well, if I'm not mistaken. And right now, Bunny, even though he was being choked earlier, he's now the choker. You know, the chokey became the okay. I don't know. My wrestling references are not very good. Okay. Both players apparently taking a bit of a breather. He's really desperately trying to get that medivac. Okay, Bunny decides to back off. Man, Dream, you've got so much gas. Like, it's actually a little ridiculous. I saw you adding on another starport here earlier. There it is. Would love to see a tech lap on that. Where's this gonna go now, though? So the entire top section of the map has now been essentially mined out. We may very well be heading towards the south of the Golden Bull. Golden Base also acquired here for Bunny, though, and I'm liking that a lot, right? This is going to give you so many minerals, which is the main limiting resource here. You got to try and get yourself as many of those Marines out as possible. The golden minerals help a lot in that regard. And, well, speaking of which, apparently Bunny has decided to bring some of his Marines right there to his opponent's orbital command once again. And this is a good snipe. I like this move here by Bunny a lot. Sacrificing a couple of Marines, but getting himself a really good engagement. At the same time, though, speaking of engagements, there's a big fight just about to happen here in the center of the map. Additional Marines actually come stemming down that golden base. They want to try and see if they can close this one out. This is so many tanks here. Bunny is incredibly, like, clumped up with his tanks, so he needs to be careful that he doesn't take a whole lot of collateral damage there. But obviously, if you can keep them close together, they may very well fire as one unit. Dream! Oh, he sieges up on the high ground. He does target fire right over there, but I think there might just be a little bit too much right now for Bunny. Doubling his opponent's supply. Dream decides to tap out with a GG, and that means that Bunny obtains the victory. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. For now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.